So I don't have any notes in front of me. This is just a quick update. I do have to address something though, because very end of January I got a couple emails from people that listened to the show. I got a text from a friend, Jared. I got another email from a friend, Brian, who said, my gosh, have you seen this news story? So this is going to actually be our third installment of Shoemaker's Gold, because going back to our very first episode, we talked about supposed lost gold near Dents Run region of Pennsylvania, the northern tier. In that first episode, that we postulated that the gold was completely fabricated by Henry Shoemaker, the state's first folklorist, and as I've said before, a figure whose shadow looms large of everything we do with Dr. Pennsylvania. Henry Shoemaker, we know, had this story about a Blackbeard, again, not the historical John Teach, but another Blackbeard who was moving gold with a couple wagons that had false bottoms where the gold was stored, and the gold is buried somewhere up there. You can go back, you can listen to our very first episode and get back on that. But then there's also the story of the lost Union gold from the American Civil War. It is almost an identical story as the Blackbeard story that we know from Shoemaker, the exception being that you swap out piracy for the Union soldiers, and that's where we're at. Now, one of the reasons why we had started with that episode was not only because it had Shoemaker, not only because it was an interesting story that we had heard go about for a while, but also because there was a group at the time of treasure hunters, finders keepers based out of Du Bois, that was really adamant about the existence of that gold, and who had demonstrated possibly some evidence of Civil War era stuff that was disputed by a college. They had found some of these artifacts and they brought them to a college that dated them only possibly being from the 1890s and more likely from loggers. Regardless, back in 2018 we had to do an update because the FBI had become involved, and that was really interesting. Now, I still maintain that I do not believe the gold to be true. It's just a bridge too far. It's too similar to the Shoemaker story. We've already gone over that there doesn't seem to be a really good reason to believe that. Why would they ship it there like that? I know we talked about it. Like, go back, listen to the first episode. I don't have any notes in front of me, so I don't want to rehash the whole thing and just be fumbling my words over one another. But here's the third installment. So a Harrisburg attorney has put in a right to know. Let me see what this is. A right to know request, because that 2018 dig in which the FBI agents were involved in, those records had been sealed. So this attorney, Gluck, on behalf of his clients at Finders Keepers Group, Finders Keeper LLC, has put in this request. It is interesting. I have to admit, it is really interesting because this is coming from Penn Live. I quote, "Cluck and his clients are deeply skeptical about the FBI's claim that it found nothing during the Dents Run dig." Cluck said the fact that the FBI Art Crime Division was involved in the probe and the veil of secrecy the feds tossed over the matter just adds to their suspicions. And they quote Cluck here stating that they, the FBI, had 50 agents there. We have witnesses that they were there all night with armored cars, so what are we supposed to believe? We are convinced that they found gold. Now, ending quotes, just coming back to me, I still don't believe the gold is real. If we know for a fact the FBI had trucks there, they had people there, these records have been sealed, don't know why. That is an interesting thing. That they had 50 people there, that they were there all night with armored cars, that we don't know to be a fact. That's just something that's been stated by witnesses. We don't know who they are, but we can assume they are probably one of the few people living in the immediate area of Dent's Run. But if the reports of the armored trucks and everything are true, okay. I am intrigued. I'm already intrigued. I still don't believe in the gold. So what were they up there for? Well, the only thing I can speculate is that because it is federal land, national land, that it has to be the FBI for some jurisdiction reason. I'm not entirely sure. Could it be that this number of agents and that the Art Crimes Division was sent up because they didn't fully flesh out the story? That's quite possible. But the gold, is gold coming from a mint really an art crime? It seems like they have whole other divisions that are better supported for that. I don't know. But I did want to make sure to put this out there. If you haven't yet heard about it, there's an attorney down in Harrisburg, Gluck, who is trying to get these records unsealed so that the public can become aware of what, if anything, was found in the area of Dent's Run. Now, both Bond and I remain really intrigued, but really dubious as to the claims that not only they found this Union gold, but that gold ever was transported through northern Pennsylvania. Either way, super interesting, and let us know what you think. And be sure to check out Bond and I are involved with another podcast talking about paranormal stuff with our friend Mike. You can check that out at the Ghost Furnace Podcast.